Hey folks, welcome back to another sponsored video for Marvel Snap. And this one I've got the perfect starter deck for you as you enter into your Marvel Snap journey. This deck's going to help you win a lot of games, and it's using cards from the starter set and very early in the collection road. So you're going to have access to these cards very soon, and then this deck will serve you really well. So what is this deck? Well, most people would call this a Ka-Zar Zoo archetype. And what that means is it includes a lot of really low cost units, 1, 2 mana, 3 mana stuff that you're going to be trying to play out early. And then you're going to be following up with wide board buff cards like Ka-Zar that buffs all of your 1 energy units, or Blue Marvel, which just buffs all of your units, or Spectrum, which can follow up with an on reveal that buffs your ongoing style units, of which there are of course a lot in the stack, including Ka-Zar and Blue Marvel. So this allows you to very efficiently put lots of stats into play and often surprise your opponents as well with some big instant stat follow-ups late in the game. I'm not going to go into detail on every card right now. I'm saving that for the gameplay, where I'll break down each of these cards in case you're not familiar with them just yet. If you haven't downloaded Marvel Snap yet and you want to see the game for yourself, there are some handy links in the description down there. That said, let's go ahead and see the first iteration of this Ka-Zar Zoo deck in action, and then later on we'll jump into an upgraded version that includes a few extra cards that I think will really make this deck competitive. So here we go. We are going to see how this deck fares against people with full collections and presumably at the max rank in Marvel Snap. So you know if it can compete under those circumstances, that this deck will certainly work well against competition that is a little bit more fairly matched. So we're going to kick things off here with Hawkeye, a 1 energy, 1 power unit who has an effect that when he's revealed, if you play a card in the same location next turn, he's going to gain +2 power, making him a 1 for 3, which is generally more powerful than most 1 energy cards. As you can see, Quicksilver here is a 1 for 2. His effect is that he always starts in your opening hand. This is a card that you probably won't see played a lot later in your Marvel Snap experience, but you need 1 energy cards in this deck for your Ka-Zar buffs, and Quicksilver just serves as one of the only and best options early in your collection level. So for now, of course, we're going to play Colossus as a follow-up to Hawkeye. He's a 2/3, pretty standard. The important part about Colossus in this deck is that he has an ongoing keyword, which means that he can be buffed by Spectrum later in the game. So you don't necessarily care too much about his Can't Be Destroyed effect. You're more just utilizing that keyword again as one of the few ongoing cards available. And unfortunately, we're going to be playing him in Wakanda, which means his Can't Be Destroyed effect is kind of lost there, but not a big concern. Now, this is an interesting game because we have Bar with No Name here as the middle location, which means we do not want to play stuff here. We want this to stay at 0 if we can, so that we're able to compete with our opponent. Also here, Murder World means I can't really play a card there this turn, unless perhaps it had been Colossus. But for now, we're fine to play on curve here for the Punisher. This has an ongoing effect again. Nice for our Spectrum. This has +1 power for each opposing card at this location, which is great because our opponent played an Angela here, and Angela is a card that gets better as more things are played next to it. So we're very likely to realize the benefit of this Punisher because they're probably going to play a lot of stuff in that lane. They played a Polaris, which would normally pull some cards to this location, can be a nice disruptive play. Also just 5 power for 3 energies, really strong. So here we have some interesting decisions. We could play an Ant-Man here. Ant-Man is a card that does do best when he is alongside other things. He gains +3 power if the spot is full. And normally that would be a risk. You don't typically want to fill up a location too early because it shows your hand to your opponent. They know exactly how much power they have to deal with. But since we have this Spectrum and we can buff this later, there are 3 cards here that get buffed later, we might still be able to surprise the opponent by playing that Spectrum on turn 6. So they might think they've locked this up, and then we pull a late game swing to win out of nowhere. So we'll just go ahead and utilize our remaining energy for now to load up Murder World. It's unlikely, since we're only drawing 1 more card, that we're ever going to run out of space, because we have room for both Spectrum and the card we draw next turn in this location. Uh-oh. Our opponent played Juggernaut, which, as you saw, will move cards randomly to a new spot. Since this was full, they both moved to Bar with No Name, which puts us behind, because, again, we went low power here. So, unfortunately, that's a really good tech in this location spot, which means we're gonna be a little bit in trouble. Now I'm gonna go ahead and move the Nightcrawler back. I don't know if I called this out, but he can move once, so we can move him back over. He's not gonna do any good there. And just in case our opponent tries to lock down this location with some sort of effect or disruption, I'm gonna go ahead and do it now as opposed to next turn. Now the real issue here is that they've already won this location pretty much guaranteed. There's almost no way for us to win middle. It's gonna be really close on left, and winning right might be hard because I'm only playing Spectrum. So we could also play Blue Marvel instead. This reads your other cards have +1 power. If I didn't read Sentinel, he adds another Sentinel to your hand, as you probably saw. So just a way to fill your curve. Now Blue Marvel adds 5 to this location because he's 3 and 2. Spectrum also adds 5 to this location, but she adds 6 here, and Blue Marvel only adds 3 here. So Spectrum is definitely the higher power play. I don't really feel good about winning this right location. We're gonna lose mid. We might lose left, so we'll go ahead and play this out, but this is a game where we might retreat normally. But I just want you all to see the outcome. Oh, Arrow, again. So spicy. Nightcrawler, though, interesting. So we're winning right, and it looks like we're going to make this sneaky play to win left exactly like we talked about. Amazing. So they used Arrow there to disrupt again and pull another card to mid. They've clearly got a lot of sneaky movement style of plays to disrupt us. Big old Arrow here. We saw Polaris earlier. We see Juggernaut, which was great for this location, by the way. Their deck fit perfectly here. But as you see, the Spectrum Surprise, the +6 power left, they only went to 21. They thought they were safe. Spectrum Surprise. We still won right because we moved that Nightcrawler back over. And that means we actually take a win. Oh, not to mention, the Arrow is so big at 8 that we actually also won mid. They were trusting that I would play something really big, like, you know, a 10 power unit, and that if they moved it to the middle, that the 8 would still be lower in combination. But Spectrum at 5 came in just under as well. So we actually win all 3 spots here with the starter deck against an opponent who's clearly running tons of later collection cards. What a great win. All right, here we go. Crimson Chaos. Gonna be tough for us. We can't play our low-cost cards there, so we're gonna have to dump things like Khazar there, Blue Marvels, Spectrums, etc., while loading up these other positions. Ooh, they played Korg. Shuffle a rock into your opponent's deck. Rocks aren't as bad for me as they might be for some people, because specifically I have Khazar to buff rocks. They're 1 energy cards. So I'm going to go ahead and play out our curve here. I'm going to be spending a lot of mana on Khazar and things later, I think. I'm going to put Ant-Man here to kind of shore up the ninja weakness a little bit. And I'm probably going to play Punisher here next turn. They played a Goose, so Punisher works fine. Setting up that Hawkeye to be a little bit better. Ooh, Stark Tower. We're going to get 5 to everything. Fun. Might be somewhere we want to commit to before turn 5, of course. Oh, Storm. Never mind. Storm is going to limit that. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I said Goose. Nobody can play cards that cost 4, 5, or 6. And Storm, flood this location. Next turn's the last turn cards can be played here. So if I want to contest this, I need to do it now, which thankfully we have an on-curve way to do that pretty successfully, which is nice. Which we do probably want to contest it. They may have something that disrupts that, moves us off of this, plays really big stat lines. I don't know, but we can buff this even more with Khazar and or Blue Marvel later. So it's not like we're giving up on this position. Oh, okay. They're just playing Yondu there. Cerebro. Oh my goodness. We might be seeing a Cerebro deck. Cerebro, your highest power cards get +2 power. And as you can see, everything in their deck was a 2. So they're going to buff everything. They might even duplicate this Cerebro effect as well to make it even more powerful, which is pretty silly. For me here, let's go ahead and put Khazar out here, and we might put Spectrum in the mid because it's a little bit more power overall than Khazar here. Well, no, that's not true, because if I buff Khazar with Spectrum, he goes to 6, and then we'd have Spectrum out on the left. We have 2 ongoing cards here, so technically Spectrum's enough to win right if they don't duplicate their Cerebro effect, but they might very well duplicate their Cerebro effect with something like a Mystique or an Onslaught, which means we might really... There's the Mystique. Yes, okay, so we're going to have a lot of trouble here beating right. That's a lot of stat lines all of a sudden. That's 24, and we're only adding 4 there. So Mystique, if you didn't see, she copies effects, which now means she has the same as Cerebro. All right, so Spectrum left could win left. I don't think it's especially likely. My opponent has 3 cards in hand. I suspect they're going to play some things out here that, I mean, they may not be able to play small things though. So it's possible we win left and we push some extra stats mid that this could still go our way. They're definitely not very strong mid. They only played mid. Mr. Fantastic. Huh. Well, we're totally fine. Yeah. They thought they might be able to snipe left if I didn't play anything, but of course I'm going to play something left. So that's a great win. Okay. Okay. Stall 19. Ooh, Sinister London. This is one of my favorite locations the entire game. When you play a card here, add a copy to another location. So the one thing about this is you can fill your board up pretty quickly. You don't want to use all of those spots too easily. You have to kind of, oh shoot, speaking of which, I don't think I should have put Hawkeye here. As I say that, I really need to hit a good play because I don't want to commit Quicksilver to this position, right? Colossus is okay probably because we can, yeah, Colossus should be okay because we can buff it with other things later. I'm already locking up a lot of spots though, with not particularly powerful plays. Now my opponent did the same with the Iceman. They're going for some disruption with Iceman. This increased the cost of a card in my hand. As you can see, Mr. Fantastic got pretty dang expensive. Ooh, Spectrum's gonna be amazing. So here's our plan now. We're gonna play Blue Marvel here, and we're gonna play Spectrum here as well, assuming the opponent doesn't have anything to say about that and mess us up with like a green Goblin or something. And that's going to create a lot of buff value. I take it back. We're going to play Iron Man here because he's crazy to double, especially with Spectrum. Okay. Iron Man going right would be nice, but mid's a little scary because it may be wasted mid. It may be hard for me to get a unit mid. I don't know. Oh no, they've got their own Iron Man. Oh no. Oh goodness gracious. This is getting crazy now. Okay. Oh, Iron Man mid's not what I wanted to see, unfortunately. We do still have quite a bit of time, though. Is Spectrum going to be worth more for me than Blue Marvel times 2? I will say the one thing about the Spectrum is it's a surprise, which is nice. Blue Marvel here and then Spectrum here is a pretty good play. Does that win me left is the question. Is this enough to win left with Blue Marvel? Well, yeah, because I'm going to be buffing 4 and 4 here. That's 8. That's worth 16. And another 6 is 22. Yeah, that definitely wins me left. Okay, I actually feel pretty good about our chances here. I think we might snap. Oh, but my opponent does have a Nightcrawler, so they can move off of this and play another powerful card there. So perhaps I need to be a little more careful. Let's not snap just now. Yeah, there's the Nightcrawler move. They're holding some insanely big play there. Oh, goodness. Kingpin, when a card moves here turn 6, destroy it. But I don't know if they have any way to move a card here. I guess they could move Nightcrawler over and play a... Oh, they could play a Magneto here. And unfortunately for me, I didn't hit a 1 energy card. So they're going to play a Magneto here. That's going to push this to 36. I do beat 36. I'm revealing first. My name is glowing. So I'll buff that. Well, not if they move something like, what would they move? Magneto moves 4 mana cards. I actually don't have any 3 or 4 mana cards. So Magneto can't move anything. I'm not sure what they're going to move. I don't know. I'm gonna snap. Let's go. Let's go. I don't know what their plan is. I might be missing something as far as what can be moved, but we're gonna find out. But big buffs on Spectrum might surprise them. It is the Magneto. Yeah, and there's no way to move on the Magneto, so we just win. Nice. I called the Magneto. I'm going to show you Magneto if you haven't seen him before, since he's a little later on, and move all opposing 3 and 4 cost cards to this location. I thought they might move this Nightcrawler. Maybe that one had already moved, and then have the Magneto played here. But perhaps they wanted it to go to the Iron Man. Maybe they just didn't think I'd be able to beat this stat line because they were trusting the The Blue Marvel was my only follow-up, so the Spectrum ended up being a nice surprise. So guys, I want you to see this. Look. So we beat somebody with a pool 3 deck, and not only that, but we took 8 cubes off of them with a starter and early level deck. There are no high level cards in this deck, and we still beat somebody at pool 3. That's pretty amazing. All right, so you saw the very beginning version of that deck. I also wanted to give you a preview of sort of an intermediate upgraded version of this same archetype. So utilizing a lot of the same cards, but including a few key upgrades, namely cards like Angela and Bishop, both of which are incredible early game scaling style cards. You can play these down for low energy costs, and they both tend to get fairly big. They can both be 5, 7 power or more, even higher with Angela with things like Nightcrawler from time to time. So these allow your 1-drops to be both setup cards like we've been doing so far, but also great follow-up cards. You can play them after playing some of these earlier scaling cards and net even more value off of them. We've also got the card Onslaught in here instead of Spectrum. Frankly, I'm a little torn between the two. As you saw, Spectrum can provide some really, really good surprise value. Onslaught doesn't always do that. But the great thing about Onslaught is he doubles the effects of your other cards, not just adds stats onto them. So you can make Blue Marvel way bigger. Onslaught Iron Man in particular is crazy. And you can stack Kazar and Blue Marvel and Onslaught all in one lane sometimes for like a crazy big buff to the rest of your board. And when you have cards like Squirrel Girl that are going much wider in the board now, that really enables you to pump out some stats. So in a way, I think Onslaught has more total power output than a card like Spectrum, but sometimes surprise is worth more than pure output. So, you know, maybe you'll have to play towards your preferences, but at least you have the option to play Onslaught in this particular scenario. So you can also double, of course, Captain America's and Ant-Man's there as well. That said, let's go ahead and see some of this step 2, the upgraded version of this deck in action, just to see how crazy this can get. Alrighty, Angela early. So we've got an interesting decision point here. I think I will hold our 1-drops here, even the Hawkeye, because we want to make sure we have enough ways to scale up our Angela. I've seen a lot of people just play out 1-mana cards, 1 energy cards without really any reason. Sometimes you often have a lot of energy to float in the mid game. You won't always. This could technically backfire. You may have a good clean curve, a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of scenario, and then you miss out on a Hawkeye. But ultimately, with the Angela in hand in particular, I think it's worth it to hold, because often you're going to find some 1 energy gaps here and there to start weaving these sorts of cards into play without too much problem. Cards with no abilities, we don't have those, so this is going to be hard for us to utilize, but I don't want to stack a bunch of stats in Sewer System. I could arguably put some of my ongoing cards in Washington, D.C. with the notion that if they were to be Enchantressed and silenced, then they would gain the benefit of Washington, D.C., but I think that's pretty greedy sort of decision to make, frankly. So here, we can do this if we want, but probably don't want to commit the Ant-Man just yet, because Hawkeye, we're going to want to play something here next turn, and if I play the Ant-Man, that means we're locking out this position. Nightcrawler doesn't lock it out, so that's fine, but I might want to put a 4-mana card here. On that notion too, though, since we have Limbo, this is a longer game. We have a lot more energy to work with throughout the course of the game. Maybe I hold the Hawkeye here, because I might want to follow him up with like a Blue Marvel, for instance, on turn 5. That said, Blue Marvel Onslaught is something I probably want to play together as well. So we may want to start creating ourselves a bit of a ongoing location. Like maybe we put it on Limbo, for instance, with Iron Man, and then we put, you know, Blue Marvel and Onslaught here as well, in which case we can certainly start committing more to Angela. That basically means we're going to try to contest both mid and right as our winning locations. Deathlock committed right is definitely a stat advantage, so we could build into left, but that's worse for Iron Man pretty notably. I think with Iron Man we'll always be able to beat whatever stat commitments they make here, so it's really going to be about putting enough stuff in mid to be competitive. But creating this stacking Onslaught lane is going to be a really cool showcase of what this deck can do. And thankfully they went left, so we can maybe just ditch out of left and say screw left, I'm not worried about left. They're clearly going to like eat these cards use some sort of destroy effect. Carnage it is. Carnage eats these and gains stats. That way they're isolating their stats into 1 unit instead of 3, which negates the downside of sewer system pretty notably for them. Let's go ahead and put Blue Marvel here. I have seen these decks run some of the Goblin cards, and if they are running Goblin cards, I don't want to put an Iron Man in a slot that might be Goblined. They might just be putting, oh, committing more stats there. Okay, interesting. All right. They're definitely going to want to play something left here. I'm really not sure what we're doing, but let's say this Iron Man is a big surprise late. And that gives me a pivot too. I can put it in either lane. You probably want to put it right because it's just so crazy with Onslaught, but you don't have to necessarily, right? If we think right is secured anyway, it's not like it's demanded. And then if they use a, oh, sneaky arrow. Dang, dude. We got sneaked on. So is Iron Man enough to win here, actually? We go to 8 power. I think we move Nightcrawler over. Although Nightcrawler is going to be smaller than Rocket Raccoon, right? So maybe we go Rocket Raccoon, Iron Man, and Squirrel Girl here. Because if they play something here, which that's the only way we lose this, if they play something here, then we know Rocket Raccoon's going to 5. Nightcrawler's only ever going to be 3. So although we lose an Angela buff, is this going to be enough anyway? Angela's gaining another... Ooh, we can play the Squirrel Girl here because the squirrels actually go to +3 power. If I play Squirrel here, we're only adding +2 to Angela. Oh, but plus the squirrel is +3, so maybe it's about the same. But I need... Well, yeah, that's fine. The Squirrel Girl adds a squirrel. That's okay, that's fine. Still fills up the Ant-Man. Doesn't really add any power here, but neither does the other way around. Okay. I think this is definitely winnable. Let's see. This is definitely winnable. Oh, Death is really big. Does that make us big enough? Dang, this is the right pick. He's going to 5. Iron Man's going to 20. We did it! 26! Yes, and of course we win mid hard. Perfect. So even with the Onslaught disruption, Iron Man's still carrying. That Blue Marvel buff made the difference, by the way. He was at 0, goes to 1. That pushes us from 24 to 26. So the Rocket Raccoon versus the Nightcrawler actually made a big distinction. Really, really important that we did the Rocket Raccoon. Because if this had been 3, we would have been 4 power less. 5 minus 3 is 2, but that's 4 in the world of Iron Man, right? So really, really important decision here to put in the Rocket Raccoon to maximize these stats, which we could do safely because we were winning so hard in mid, right? We knew we had such a lead here that it was going to feel mostly insurmountable. Really cool game. That was great. Even though the Onslaught didn't pay off, you could see how it could have, certainly doubling up all of those Iron Man and Blue Marvel effects. Angela, Ant-Man, Nightcrawler early. So Angela, Nightcrawler is a great option. Avengers Compound tends to work out okay for Angela because you don't mind committing there. You know you're going to be playing cards there anyway to support the Angela. Although there are turn 5 plays for us like Iron Man and Blue Marvel, which may not always be suitable for an Angela lane. So we have to be thoughtful about that. Do we think we're going to always be playing stuff on 5 there, or perhaps I need to be playing Angela? Yeah, there's the Blue Marvel, for instance. Yeah, let's commit Angela to a different lane here. This should be okay, but stuff's moving here, which is a little bit harrowing. I think this is one where we can go Angela Bishop. We don't necessarily have a great support in the other lanes because I don't yet have an Iron Man to start stacking stats somewhere else. So we might need to split Bishop Angela to create 2 avenues of threats, 2 different location threats. Ooh, no, that's really bad for our Angela. Okay, in this case, I need to just finish Angela next turn, and I definitely want these together in the right spot because that's the only way we're gonna get because these are moving to the right, so we need enough stats there to contest. So yeah, we'll go ahead and stack those up. Next turn, we will probably just Hawkeye Ant-Man. Well, Hawkeye's a little risky, though, but I won't ever get the Hawkeye value if I don't do it now. Collector's going to be moving over. Blue Marvel to 6 currently leaves me without a good turn 5 play on Compound. Whew. Really, really good Iceman there, because any of these 1-drops here, I would absolutely not have cared. I guess we just put Hawkeye there. That's totally fine. Does mean this Ant-Man's a little bit exposed, because I'm not likely ever to fill up the Bifrost, but it seems like we should be pretty secure in Savage Land. It's going to be about winning Avengers Compound. I basically need to top deck Iron Man, and that's a 1 in 5, not likely, but if I can play Iron Man here on turn 5 and then Onslaught as well, we will almost always win a Compound lane, and then we should also win Savage Land. But you know, ooh, we're seeing a bounce deck. This is really fun. So Falcon bounces all their cards back to hand. Their 1-cost cards. Collector gets bigger as that happens, so they just replay all this stuff. Then they can buff up their Angela again as well, of course. Pretty nifty little deck. So I mean, honestly, Collector might be able to contest against these, but I don't know. They moved their skeleton, their raptors back, so they actually have a lot of space. Oh, we top decked the Iron Man. It's exactly what I was talking about. Okay, I'm gonna have a tough decision here between Blue Marvel and Onslaught. Like Blue Marvel, Iron Man with a Nightcrawler moved over. Oh, Hawkeye gets buffed based on this lane, I believe. So even though he's here, I think he still gets the +3 if I'm not mistaken. I guess we're about to find out, but. Iceman again doesn't matter. It can't hit anything that's already 6. Okay, so there's the beast to bounce those again. Can I beat Collector, man? I'm only adding 1 more power to that right lane. Oh, man. Blue Marvel and Nightcrawler here. This is going to go to 3. This is 3, and this is 1. It's a 14 power left lane. And I add 4 to the right here. It kind of feels like they're going to try to win right. Well, I add 4 plus another 1. So I had 5, 19. Boy, I don't know, man. This feels a little bit like a recipe for disaster. I could actually leave the Nightcrawler here, because if I do... No, I'm only adding 3 here, so I never beat these if I leave Nightcrawler there. Yeah, we can try this. It's a little bit better at trying to win right. It's worse at winning left, but I don't think they're going to try to win left. I think they know the Iron Man's there, so I think they give up left. You know what we could do? We could maybe put Blue Marvel mid. Like, really throw them for a loop. Iron Man goes to 2 to tie. But I don't think that's better. No, I think we try it this way, but it's gonna be close. Oh, they went left more than I thought. I guess they just have a billion cards, so kind of makes sense to go everywhere, yeah. It does seem like they're... well, are they going to get big enough to win right? I don't know. It's going to be really close. This Blue Marvel line might have worked. Oh, Carnage buffing with that Nova. If you haven't seen Nova, he buffs everybody by 1 when he gets destroyed. They're at 17, 18. I went to 18, 19. Genius plays. Yes, exactly enough. So perfect, dude. Yes, enough to win left, and the Blue Marvel instead of the Onslaught, of course, just buffs right enough to barely squeak by. Wow, great win. So there you see it again, man. This deck doing some pretty crazy stuff. Angela and Bishop, as you saw, really vital. Really important for big scalability. Those were both giant minions, despite being low cost cards, which is exactly what you're looking for in this one. So there you go, folks. That is the Khazar Zoo starter deck and the upgraded version as well. A lot of good cards here that you can get used to using. I mean, the great thing about Marvel Snap is once a card's yours, it's yours forever. So it's not like you have to worry about, you know, disenchanting things to make other things. You know, you just get to use these. And I think you'll find cards like Iron Man and Bishop and Angela, even Onslaught, Nightcrawler. I've certainly seen a lot of Ant-Man. All of those are going to be great cards across a variety of different kinds of builds and archetypes. So getting some experience with these, getting to upgrade them early and show them off for the rest of your Marvel Snap lifetime feels like a pretty nice little thing. And I think this deck will certainly do you well in your early to mid-game Marvel Snap career. You'll want to make some different plays and see some new stuff. Of course, as you unlock new cards, I encourage you to experiment. Changing out a card or two is not typically going to break a deck altogether too much. As long as you have some of your powerful combos, powerful synergies, things are still going to work fairly well. So I encourage you to take this, mold it to your taste, your preference, and your collection. That said, if you want to see more Marvel Snap action, of course, stay tuned right here. I'm going to have a lot more decks to showcase, at least for the next week or two. And if the game does really well, we might go even more than that, because I've been playing this one a lot. I like it a lot, so I'm excited to showcase more cool stuff in the world of Marvel Snap. So, of course, if you haven't checked out Marvel Snap just yet and this looked really fun, there are some handy links down there in the description for you to download the game yourself. It's free to play, really fun to get started, and here you have the perfect deck to kick things off. So that said, good luck on your Marvel Snap journey. Thanks much for watching, and until next time, game on.